What's Gucci?
Check. Broadcasting live from heaven.
You're kind of loud.
Shoot.
Well, I won't be screaming like that.
Yeah. Like, whoa.
Like, how is it just talking? Is this
no,
fine?
You're fine.
I have it cranked literally all the way.
You're fine. It's fine. I don't know if
it's
it's
clipping a little bit. Broadcasting from heaven. That's probably better.
On God.
On God.
Just getting the notes. Unreal. Sorry, Isaac.
You're not sorry. You're sorry you got caught.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Happy June 5th of 2022. Welcome back to my podcast with no name. My name is Braven. I'm with a special guest today, an old friend of mine, a good friend of mine. We go way back, and similar to the Scooby episode, I'd like to introduce a guy from my area, from the Chicago area, Cooper Kleinke. Say hi to the folks.
Hey, folks. How's everyone doing? I'm happy to be here.
Good. So, can you? I guess this brief story is that we went to high school together. We're from the same area, but we were in a rock band before really anything. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I met Braven. He was in the jazz band. Are you 2 years older than me?
Yeah.
2 years. And me and my friend Keel Brady, bass player, awesome bass player. Shout out Keel. We were starting a band together. We were in a band with Jackson, who I'm in a band with now, and he kicked us out over Facebook. So we started a new band called Beyond Gravity. And
well, what was the original name? Can you tell us?
Gravity Nutsack. Well, there was Gravity Burrito.
Let's just go through them. Yeah.
I believe it was Gravity Burrito first.
This was before I was in the band, but yeah.
Gravity Nutsack. And then finally settled on Beyond Gravity. I still don't like that name.
So Cooper, yeah. So we were in a band called Beyond Gravity, pretty much a relatively unknown band. But it was our first project, like in high school, and we did a couple projects, and Cooper was the guitar player. I was essentially the vocalist.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, before you were in the band, we had a couple different singers. Ryan Peterson was singing, and Errol Hassanoff was on drums at the time. And you were playing trumpet with us first. That's how we. Mm-hmm. You were
right for Battle of the Bands.
Battle of the Bands. We need a trumpet player, and then you somehow became the vocalist. Somehow.
Yeah. So I think. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have always been having vocalists. Well, I don't know. You've kind of always had vocalist problems. Like
It's a consistent in my life.
I feel like even so, Cooper's currently in a band, Stolen Sun, and actually we'll link Stolen Sun's stuff below. It's metal, and Beyond Gravity, I would say, was more hard rock. But the struggle to find a vocalist was real even back in 2013 when we were first linking up. And, we had a couple people, and I originally didn't want to sing at all. I was kind of shy about my voice. So I played like keys and trumpet. And
you did like backups first, I think.
Yeah.
You made your debut at St. Matt's Battle of the Bands.
Which is crazy because we still have the video of that.
And everyone on stage is wearing khakis.
It looks like we just wanted to rock out before a session of church.
Literally, yeah.
Like right.
That was the first and only time first and last time I wore khakis. I don't wear khakis.
You weren't in like khakis like me and my brother were though.
Yeah,
like
you guys were matching. You were wearing like matching polo Ralph Lauren.
Oh yeah,
sweaters.
We were decked out in the innocent gear swag.
Altar boys.
So the curse between me and Cooper is that we always get second in everything we do. I think Battle of the Bands the first time around we got second, lost to Stargazer.
Well, that was really cool because we were freshmen and like we beat a bunch of bands that were.
I think there were 10 bands, right?
That was like the most. That was like when Battle of Bands at LZ was at its peak.
For sure, and then St. Matt's we got second. I know there were like 5 or 6 bands there.
But when you got Thomas Woody and Stargazer, it's tough.
Yeah, so there's a guitarist from our area, super good. Thomas Woody. Also, shout out to Thomas Woody from Stargazer. I knew him through school, and then shout out to Matt O'Connor, also twin.
Yeah, he's doing cool shit.
Yeah, he was in their band as well as a rhythm guitarist. No,
yeah,
he was a rhythm guitarist. But yeah, he's like a DJ or like a.
He like plays venues, like
basically an MC, like doing shows and stuff in the city. So I've been following him a little bit. Let's just dive in. So how'd you start on guitar?
Someone asked me this like kind of recently, and I think the honest answer is Guitar Hero. Like,
really?
I feel like I fell in love with video games first. Then like when Guitar Hero like 2 came out, it was like all the rage.
Right.
And it was like these songs are kind of sick, like all the rock songs. They had great soundtracks. and that's why I wanted to learn.
You
guitar.
know, that's the like Post Malone story. Like,
yeah, I think there's a lot of people like our sort of general age area that have a similar story.
That's crazy because I grew up playing the piano and the trumpet, obviously. But I grew up playing piano, and my parents and I like really both wanted me to get like everyone wanted me to get into guitar lessons. I really wanted to play guitar. I started guitar lessons. I hated it. I just hated like how you had to have like finger dexterity, and I just hated it. And
You still got to do it with piano though.
yeah, but like I've definitely lost a lot. I'm gonna get a MIDI keyboard and get that back.
Nice.
Yeah, but but so I thought I was the opposite, whereas like I kind of knew a little bit of my way around the guitar, and I sucked at Guitar Hero. Like, I don't know if it was just because I never had it as a kid and I just didn't play it, but like my friends that weren't musical at all were super good at it. So that's literally how you started, huh?
That's what got me into it, because like before, like my musical journey was like, I loved like Weird Al Yankovic was like the very first one, because it was like silly and ridiculous, and I was into making YouTube videos before music, and then I got into like rock and metal like through Guitar Hero.
So like in middle school, or no?
I think I started like third grade or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Taking lessons from Offbeat.
And then you just liked it, obviously, so you didn't stop.
Yeah.
Okay. And like I think I've met a couple of your teachers.
Nick Sinsky.
Yeah, the guys in Barrington.
Ron Pingle. He was a jazz professor.
Really?
Old dude. I wonder where he is now. He's been a while, but he was one of my best teachers.
So we had the rock band, but before that, I was in like the high school jazz band, and I played trumpet, and I think it was kind of happenstance. I don't know when I started like chatting with you and Keel like outside the bus stop.
Chatting.
Like,
yeah.
You know, like at the end of the day, like we were just like chatting is a great word because we were hooligans. But
that's a word for it.
But so I don't know when that started, but you like I don't know if we would have met if it weren't for the fact that you guys needed a trumpet for that Muse song, Panic Station.
Yeah, because you lived in Keel's neighborhood, and I know this guy who plays trumpet.
Yeah,
I don't remember how you became the singer, to be honest. Like that just sort of happened.
Well, I know for a fact that it was at band practice. Like at band practice.
Like, why don't you just sing?
You were urging. I remember you and Keel and whoever. I guess Arrow was there at the time. Like you guys were all urging me to do it, and I didn't want to do it.
Finding singers is fucking hard. Like it's always been a struggle.
I think I know why. Is because like people are shy about singing anyway. I think
it's like a personal.
Yeah, I mean,
you're bearing a lot.
Like I know for me, I was young, but like I was embarrassed to do it. Like I was really sheepish about it. But you know, the more you do it, and then like same thing if you're in front of a camera. Like the more you're in front of a camera, you get used to it. But I was gonna say, you and Keel both wanted to do jazz because you're a guitarist. Keel's a bassist. Keel didn't know how to do upright, but I talked to Mr. Thompson, got you guys a little word in edgewise, and then they did a tryout and they killed it, and then there you go. But so yeah, we were very interconnected musically. We have one project with Beyond Gravity, well, two projects with Beyond Gravity. Natural Machines, our album, which is, let's just call it experimental.
It is extremely experimental. Wrote a 16-minute song as high schoolers.
Yeah, 16 minutes.
Multiple movements.
Yeah.
Musical motifs.
We were into Dream... Oh, I was into Dream Theater at the time.
That was my favorite band for the longest fucking time.
I remember writing the lyrics to that song and just being like, basing it on Octavarium.
Dude, literally. Because there's a part in there where it's like almost like a straight rip of Octavarium.
That's... Yeah, and like... I remember I was...
This impulse, like that's...
The
that's Octavarium.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely ripped it off. But I remember I was in Florida at the time when we were finishing it up. Like I was in Florida doing my thing. And like we came back that summer and recorded with a dude. And we were super like unhappy with the way it kind of just ended up. I think we did like just the technicals of the recording because we were super
I think at the time we thought it was really cool. There's still parts of it I kind of admire, but like it definitely sounds like a band that's like just starting out, which is fine. Like we were like really ambitious, like for our age.
Oh yeah, I think we were unprepared. I mean, it's tough to book studio time when you're not really, really well rehearsed.
And not having the song's tempo mapped is an issue.
That took us a few hours. I would say when you go into a studio, especially if you're gonna be recording drum set. And guitars, like if you're gonna be working with a producer, like you're gonna need to tempo map your stuff, which means you got to know how fast the song is in the BPM, and we just didn't.
And then the last song, like because we had like only so much time booked, the Impulse, the 16-minute song, just decided to go no click for it, We're like, Jason, we're gonna go no click because this is gonna be way too hard to tempo map. It's gonna take all the time, which is like the stupidest thing ever. But.
Right, and then you can hear that when you listen to the record. And then basically, with a different drummer, actually, we went and recorded an EP.
The EP is so much better.
It's actually, right.
So much better.
We were much better musicians, I would say. But the EP was what? 3 years later?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
2014? Yeah, something like this.
It was like
2016,
I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was in college at that point. But anyway, like, we grew up super into, like, rock and progressive stuff. And I know we both still are. I would say, like, my music these days focuses a ton on hip-hop, trap, R&B. I don't know what you want to call it. But since I've gone, like, totally digital in making my stuff, like I've gone away from rock drums and all that other stuff. You also produce music. You've made a couple of my beats for my songs that are out. What? How'd you get into that? So, and you eventually taught me Ableton. So.
Yeah. So, like, going into college, like, I did not like rap really at all, or like, not really. I mean, I would enjoy like a song here or there, or like I really liked Eminem. Eminem was actually. Let me retract my previous statement about Weird Al. I think it was Eminem was like the first one I was like really into.
Okay.
I was like in 5th grade, like singing the real Slim Shady, and like all my classmates like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, how do you know all these words? And like, I didn't know what any of it meant at the time, but
you knew how to rap it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That was like our friend Danny is quite the talented fast rapper, and he can do like
great.
he can do rap like god. Rap god. Yeah.
That's crazy. So I don't remember exactly how, but I think I started trying to make like electronic music, like dubstep, and then I went into there was a producers club at my school at Ohio State, and I started hanging around different producers and kind of getting into it that way, and learning about Splice and all that other shit, and just being really connected with, because Columbus was like a really good like place for rap at that time, and there was a lot of people you could just get to spit on your beats like really easily, and I think it just happened naturally. Oh, and so when I went to do jazz at Ohio State, and I met Kuma, who is Cove on Bangers Only, and before Borders was a thing, that's another band I was in. He hit me up, and he's like, "You use Ableton, right?" And I'm like, "Okay, let's link." And then I started making beats for him, and it just kind of happened naturally, I think. But it also just coincided with like going to college and just experimenting,
meeting different musicians. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just learning that there's other music outside of your comfort zone and sphere and all that shit.
So the most recent endeavor between me and Cooper is Cooper's call it a record label, Bangers Only Records, small record label out of Chicago, Illinois, and currently how many artists are on the label?
5. Young Fat, Cove, Scooby, Thrill House, and Smoke Fat.
There you go. So 5. And I used to be part of the label, and we'll get into why I'm no longer technically part of the label. So Cooper basically taught me Ableton, and I would go over to his house, and we would I would have like lyrics to record, and we did a few songs that way where I had the raps ready to go, and you helped me make the beat or something like that, and then we like would produce it and mix it like in your bedroom at your
literally,
parents' house.
Dude, recording vocals in my bedroom, my parents like downstairs watching TV.
Super raw too, because like we knew musically what we were doing technically, but we didn't know anything about producing.
Yeah.
And we made some shitty songs that are still out there on my SoundCloud. And
December.
Yeah, December. Floss. You remember Floss?
Floss, yeah.
Crazy beat. But
Floss has a cool like second half.
That's like the whole like that was my introduction to like digital music, and I think that you were there essentially when I started. So
yeah, that was kind of interesting for me to like go through, because like I came back from school and you were like wanting to rap, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You haven't really done that before. And,
yeah.
We were both kind of learning as we go. Mm-hmm. Those were some interesting days.
Yeah, I remember it was around 2017, 2018. I didn't have like any software at the time. I didn't really have a microphone or anything. But I really had only made rock with you, and I had been in jazz band as a trumpet player. So I was like dying to make something that people would listen to. You know what I mean? Like these days, and like I had lyrics
for the kids,
exactly, and like I had lyrics ready to go, and like it was just a matter of like how can we record, and we didn't really want to like book a studio, and we kind of just were fucking around with it. So eventually, like literally in your basement one day, I think we were with Danny. It just kind of built into this thing, and then like you and Danny kind of co-termed the Bangers Only.
Yeah, it kind of just became like a thing to do when we hung out, honestly. Like, and like either you or me would make beats, and Danny would spit on it, like just for fun, and like recording it, and that's kind of how it all started. To be honest, it's just fun, you know.
Well, it was very organic, like because we would just do it literally when we were bored, and I think somewhere along the line we were just like, you know, like we should start publishing, or like we should, you know, have a I think the word was collective, and we were like, oh, we should just be a collective, and Cooper wanted to run it, and it was Bangers Only. At the time we thought it was the most I still think it's the most like badass.
It is the most badass name.
Bangers Only Records. So we did a ton of music, and we did a ton of stuff. I mean, Cooper was behind my Octane mixtape, and he was also behind like a lot of the Lost Vibrations stuff, just mixing wise, executive production, stuff like that. So I guess we just did a ton of stuff like when I would come back from school, right? Because you were at Ohio State, I was at Truman.
It was really cool that we could like just do it, like everyone's in different places. You send me stuff, and I'll go to the Ohio State studio, and I'll mix it there. And
because that's the reason we initially like kind of ended Beyond Gravity, because it was just like, well, we're all going to college. I remember that being the reason. Like we're all kind of going to college.
It did run its course, I think.
Yeah, and it's just like we hadn't been to college. We didn't know that how easy it was. We literally do everything anyway. I live pretty close to this guy downtown, and we still would send anything, you know, over the internet. Yeah, over the cloud.
It's pretty incredible. So, and like then Scooby coming into the fold, and not really hanging out with him at all in high school, and then I don't really know how. I think Thrill House connected us, but just like seeing, like I see a lot of talent here, but like let's refine this, and you know, there's a lot of potential here, so let's like rein it in, and you know, let's get this shit mastered and properly mixed, and good artwork behind it. We're not stealing anyone's beats unless it's on SoundCloud, which is fine.
Well, you know, also like it was fully original, and at that point, like we were ready to do that, because for the longest time, like we'd been recording crappy music, and we were just kind of ready to level it up.
Yeah, literally.
So we did a ton of that, and obviously that has its ups and downs, and you know, I was actually part of the original. I guess you could say like a co-founder almost of the label. We're going to get into this thing where I moved downtown, and I was separate from Cooper for a long time, and you know, we kind of had started to grow apart in a way, but like we're never not going to be friends, as you said, and I think we'll always, you know, kind of have a relationship. I fell into some bad times, and I was going to just kind of explain that the reasons I left were valid, and I think I still understand why I made the decision I made. The climate at that time was, I would say, ripe for what happened between me and you, just between like what was going on that summer with me personally, and just dealing with all this stuff with my surgery and all that stuff. Like mentally, I was in a terrible spot, and I took what you said, just saying like, hey, like if you're gonna act like that, find another label or something. I took that like very literally, and I was just like, well, now it's time to capitalize on like a couple of things that I would probably do on my own differently. And so coming from that direction, I feel like that's a good way to say like the way it ended between me and you was nowhere near optimal from how I handled it. And I definitely would have handled it differently, and I think things would have been better between now and then if I had handled it differently. So there's definitely an apology on the table there, and I think
appreciate that.
And I think because we go way back, like it doesn't make sense to really act like we're foes or anything like that, and I try not to, but like, I mean, we've been competitive before, and like I don't consider us like rivals or anything like that, but we would be if like there was continued tension. So
yeah, I mean, I think, I agree. I appreciate the apology, by the way. I think it was building up for like a minute, so like something was bound to happen, and I don't know, there were some things that you wanted to handle differently, and there were some things I wanted to handle differently, and that's just what happened. And there's really no bad blood. It's just
I think it was a boiling point for sure.
Yeah,
and it wasn't the cleanest eruption.
No,
but we're still. I mean, I'm still gonna ask you for a guitar lick now and then. Like I'm not gonna be afraid to reach out and say like, I know a guy who's a hell of a guitar player. And like I've worked with Scooby and Thrill since, and I consider them, all you guys, good friends of mine, and because it's not a very highly technical thing, like I consider myself just in that regard just kind of like a co-creative in that direction. Yeah. So whether or not it's technically a thing whereas I'm like listed on the team or not, it's just like we can move on with that and be content with that. So
I mean, it's all good, and like Bangers Only Records is not like the most active thing at the moment, like as it was like probably 2 summers ago. We were all going really hard with it. It ebbs and flows. Like I have a project coming out with, not a project, this song coming out with Scooby, June 15th. Really excited about.
The artwork for that I saw was super dope.
Yeah, Alex killed it on that. We've been working on that song for like literally a year. Like,
I know,
it's
because
absurd.
Yeah, I know. You guys got the singer and everything too for that. There's going to be a female voice on that, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so
found her on Facebook.
So a local
San Diego. So not too far from Scooby.
Talented vocalist that you found online for this one, but I was going to say Cove also. Doesn't he drop in? So, well, he's been dropping stuff.
He dropped the first single from his album. I think it's called My Life as an Indie Movie or something like that.
My Life as an Indie Movie?
Yeah, as an indie movie.
Oh, right.
And it's like the whole thing's like kind of framed like within like scenes, kind of like Dream Theater, Scenes from a Memory.
Okay. Okay.
So there's a lot of marketing stuff around that with like the videos and stuff going around. He's spending a lot of time on it. So we're getting the first little pieces of that now. But excuse me. And there was a project that of beats I made for Cove that like he wouldn't normally do. They're kind of like more like dark beats. I'm like, you really need to rap on this because I've heard you like spit.
Oh yeah.
And I think this would be sick because I know it's not like your wheelhouse. You're more like positive vibes, but
yeah.
I think
he's more soulful vibes. Mm-hmm. And he's not like, I sent him, our song Dogs. Remember that one where he spits like that?
He went hard on that. Yeah.
I love that verse, but you're right. That's not like his wheelhouse.
I was like really trying hard to convince him. I'm like. He's like, this isn't really my thing. Like, there's no horns in it or whatever. I'm like, dude, this would be really awesome and like showcase diversity for you, so that you're not just the Anderson Paak type.
He's
whatever.
Super talented. I should talk to Cove more because I know we've talked a few times and he's always been super cool. So
yeah. I mean, like I said, like it's not the most active thing at the moment. Like I just life has caught up and
absolutely.
Moved down here a year ago. Just reprioritizing different sort of things, and then Stolen Sun finally picking back up and finally solidifying a lineup. Is
do we have time to talk about Stolen Sun or no? No, he's like, So Cooper is part of a. So I appreciate that we were able to talk about that. So thank you. And Cooper's guitarist in Stolen Sun. We'll link it below. What are you guys working on?
So we finally finished our 5-song EP. It's the follow-up to our EP from 2017.
Oh, really? The Acolyte?
Yeah. Oh. So we've been through the fucking ringer with singers, man. Like it's pretty like comical at this point. Like, so we recorded the 5 songs instrumentally at Jansen's Brick and Mortar Studios in McHenry last summer, and we had a singer at the time that we found through Facebook, and we had like auditioned countless people prior. Nothing was working out. It was just like the most like soul crushing thing to know that like you have like the hottest shit you've ever wrote like on the table. And you just don't have like
as far as riffs and wow. Okay.
Probably like the most proud I've ever been of like anything musically.
Wow.
I'd have to say.
Exciting.
Just spending so much time on it, like really being meticulous about it, and then just not having the final piece, the vocalist, to put it together.
Sure.
So we had a vocalist, and we went in and we're like, okay, we're finally gonna do it. We're gonna record. This dude had 5 months to write lyrics to 5 songs. Couldn't do it. He wrote one song and it was trash, like just terrible lyrics, like it's very not good. I'm like, I could do better. And so we kicked him out, like this is impossible. Like if we can't find someone, like I'm straight up gonna be like done with like this type of music because like it's becoming too ridiculous. I'm like wasting time, and I can outlet somewhere else. And we found another person, really nice guy, super great guy. Worked with him for a couple months. It was kind of the inverse of what we had prior, like kind of a decent screamer and singer, but shitty person. So then we had the opposite, and you know, that kind of sucked. But so we had to let him go too, and it was mutual because he kind of knew. So this is like 6-7 months after these songs have been recorded. And
all they need is vocals?
All I needed was vocals. And
Jesus.
like I'm constantly like patrolling like this Facebook music group that like where people like post their like, oh, we need a drummer or whatever. This dude I contacted like probably a year ago, he was in a band. He's like, I don't know if I have the time for 2 bands, blah, blah, but we really like your sound, and just didn't end up working out. This dude ended up leaving his old band, and like, this is perfect. These are the stars are aligning right now, and got him, and it all moved really, really quickly. Wrote the lyrics, and this one's super interesting for me because I ended up writing like quite a bit of the lyrics.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
So, yeah, I'd say like 75% I wrote the lyrics.
That's dope.
Which is super cool.
So what? Okay, so how? And I've seen you in the studio. So what's the percentage of doneness on this project?
It's done. It's
done.
just being
Wow.
mixed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Being mixed. You heard that? Do you have a title?
Yeah. The Fatality of Circumstance.
Stolen Sun new album EP.
EP. It could be an album. Like it's long enough. Like
We'll call it an album. We'll call it a project. We'll call it a record.
Like
The Fatality of Circumstance.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of what happened to us. We were like killed. We have this music. We have it. It's done. But we're killed by the circumstance of us not being able to find someone.
Yeah.
And then it also kind of ties into the lyrics too. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's being mixed, and cover art is incoming, and we just need to shoot a video, and that's it.
I'm going to put a sample of Stolen Sun music right after this ends, and you guys can hear a little bit about it. Do you mind if I put a little clip of your music video in here? Or one of your music videos? Because I have this one in mind that would really be sick. We have to wrap this up. I'm so sorry. Cooper Kleinke, everyone. Guitarist of Stolen Sun, and I'm sure we'll have you back for a conversation soon. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks.